Also, you said something earlier, how quick 100 years goes by.
Yeah.
So what if something takes a couple generations? That's okay. I think one of the things I like to say is that if your goals are something that you can accomplish in your own lifetime, they're too small. We need to have like multi-generational goals. I grew up outside of Chicago, and there's this Baha'i temple. So the Baha'i religion is emerged out of Islam, but it's more of a universal religion, and they're suppressed a lot in the Islamic countries. But there was this temple that they built outside of Chicago, this beautiful temple, but it took 3 generations to build it. And when you're a little kid and thinking about it, I'm like, how could they even plan ahead? How could they even have hope why would they even start something that they didn't even know would ever be finished?
Right.
But that now it's one of the most beautiful temples in the world. And so I think this process of elevating consciousness in humanity so we can learn how to live together and not destroy the planet is however long it happens to take. So if things take longer than I thought,
That's a great attitude.
Yeah.
Like you have to have that attitude, but you're always so happy. Every time I meet you, you're always smiling. You're always happy.
Well,
So now, speaking of rocket ships and people lying, let's talk about UFOs. Now, I know that a lot of you probably never think about UFOs, and people that do all have wildly different opinions and takes. It's interesting. But also, it feels at least a little bit like a psyop. It's dizzying to keep up with all the drama in the UFO community, and without Candace around to give it the Blake Lively treatment, it's largely the Wild West of conspiracy theories as far as I'm concerned. But just recently, a content creator called Museum of Tarot exposed one of the largest and longest-standing UFO influencers to potentially be an Israeli plant. Steven Greer. If you're not familiar with this dude, he's spent the last 30 years collecting every whistleblower under the sun and compiling their testimony and allegedly running around briefing presidents and CIA directors, etc., about the threat of UFOs and the secret government reverse engineering programs. Some of his claims are believable, and some of them are completely ridiculous, like the time he claimed to have an alien body that turned out to be the bones of a deformed human child. So, a couple of months ago, Brent, Museum of Tarot, went on my friend Danny Jones's podcast and dropped a bomb on Steven Greer's career. He brought documentation that he had dug up that seemed to imply that Steven Greer had a long-lost secret history with Israel that he never seems to mention anymore. Let's watch this clip.
The bridegroom is the son of Mr. and Mrs. James Greer of 1201 Princeton Avenue. He attended the Appalachian State University and is employed in the Information Processing Department at Baha'i World Center. After a trip through Israel, the couple will live in Haifa and work at the Baha'i World Center.
Yep. That's the original marriage notice. Baha'i was regarded as an intelligence gathering operation for Mossad.
First, I want to address the trope that the Bahá'í Faith is known as an intelligence gathering asset for Mossad. Like this is some kind of revelatory information that we all should know. Even the most cursory fact check with the AI of your choice will disprove this little bit of disinformation. That's not to say that such attacks aren't effective. The framing, the mocking tone, the ridicule, the stunned silence, followed by the proverbial mic drop moment, they're effective. Sadly, it is easy to be taken in by such half-truths. It's only when you happen to be very well informed on a particular subject that you can spot this. That's when you suddenly realize how insidious this can be. Imagine knowing or having met Baha'is who were stripped of their property, tortured, imprisoned, or the relatives of those who were actually killed, and then seeing prominent YouTubers promoting disinformation by the very perpetrators behind this.
considered going to Iran? Have you considered, like, even in order to report on it more accurately? Does that idea scare you? Does it seem plausible at this point in your life that this is something that you could get more involved in?
It's not plausible because I'll probably be arrested as soon as I get to Iran. But
is that what happens? People get arrested and put in prison, and there are 30,000 people in jail right now.
There's over, what I understand, over 30,000 people in jail. But I think because I'm a Baha'i, that makes I would be arrested immediately. So what I can do is remind people of things that have happened. Like we're coming up to a 40th anniversary of something that happened that totally shocked me to my core, and actually artists in North America. On the 18th of June is the 40th anniversary of the hanging of 10 women in a town called Shiraz, who are 10 Baha'i women. One of them was a woman called Mona, who was 17 years old, and all the others were 20, 25. I think one of them was 35. And all because they were Baha'is, and they were told to recant their faith, and they refused because they said, look, you're asking us to lie about wanting a better world. You're asking us to lie that we don't believe in the equality of men and women. You're asking us to lie that we believe in the one God. So they said no, and they were given many chances to recant, and they didn't. So one by one, they were all hanged in front of each other. There's a photograph online of the 10 women. They're all young, and it shocked everyone to their core. And in fact, this story, when it broke 40 years ago, it moved some artists. Actually, you can see there's a pop video was made called Mona with the Children by Jack Lenz and Doug Cameron.
Someone on a YouTube podcast claimed that the Baha'i Faith is a known front for Israeli intelligence, Mossad. Please fact-check this statement. This statement is false and is a common piece of misinformation, often spread by regimes and groups hostile to both the Baha'i Faith and Israel, particularly the Iranian government. Here's a breakdown of why this claim is inaccurate. Number 1, historical precedents. The Baha'i Faith's most holy sites are located in what is now Israel due to historical events that long predate the establishment of the State of Israel. Number 2, non-political stance. A core tenet of the Baha'i Faith is obedience to the government and non-involvement in partisan politics. Baha'is are expected to be loyal citizens of whatever country they reside in, and are forbidden from engaging in subversive activities or partisan political affairs. This principle makes the idea of the entire faith being a front for an intelligence agency highly contradictory to its fundamental teachings. Number 3, no credible evidence. There is no credible evidence from reputable journalistic, academic, or governmental sources to support the claim that the Baha'i Faith is a front for Mossad or any other intelligence agency. Such accusations typically originate from propaganda outlets. Number 4, source of the accusation. This accusation is frequently leveled by the Iranian government and its media. The Baha'i Faith originated in Persia, now Iran, in the 19th century, and the Baha'is have faced severe persecution there since its inception, particularly after the 1997 Islamic Revolution, accusing Baha'is of being agents of foreign powers, first Russia, then British, American, and now Israeli Zionist, has been a common tactic to justify this persecution. Number 5, Baha'i administration. The Baha'i World Center operates openly, and its functions are administrative and spiritual, related to coordinating the activities of the global Baha'i community and maintaining its holy sites. Its staff comprises Baha'is from diverse national backgrounds who serve for limited periods. In conclusion, the assertion that the Baha'i Faith is a front for Mossad is a baseless conspiracy theory. The Baha'i presence in Israel is purely for historical and religious reasons, predating the modern state, and the faith's principles strictly prohibit the kind of political entanglements that such a role would entail.
And
the
Steven
pin
Greer
drops,
worked for these people.
and he worked for them. He started with those people. Then he got.
This is
funded by
before he was an emergency room doctor.
I've done a lot of research on Steven Greer. I don't want to make any claims that get me in any kind of trouble about Steven Greer, but it doesn't look to me like he had enough time to even do medical school and a residency. And certainly the old newspaper articles don't refer to him as Dr. Greer. It's like he goes right into UFO stuff. So if he worked, there's indication he worked for a very short time at a small hospital in Western North Carolina and then went directly into shilling UFOs for Rockefeller.
Question: is there proof that Dr. Steven Greer, the ufologist, was a practicing physician? Yes, there is substantial evidence that Dr. Steven Greer was a practicing physician before dedicating himself full-time to ufology. Here's what is publicly known and verifiable. Number 1, medical degree. Stephen Macon Greer received his MD from the James H. Quillen College of Medicine at East Tennessee State University in 1987. Number 2, residency. He completed his residency at the Mountain Area Health Education Center in Asheville, North Carolina. Number 3, medical license. He was licensed to practice medicine in the state of North Carolina. His North Carolina medical license number was 35605. You can often verify past licenses through state medical board websites, though access to historical data can vary. Public records indicate this license was issued in 1989 and became inactive, lapsed, after he retired from medicine. Number 4, practice. He worked as an emergency room physician. Number 5, hospital affiliation. He was the chairman of the Department of Emergency Medicine at Caldwell Memorial Hospital in Lenoir, North Carolina, from 1995 until he retired from medicine. Retirement from medicine. Dr. Greer retired from his medical career in 1998 to focus entirely on his work with the Disclosure Project and other UFO-related initiatives. Number 6, retirement from medicine. Dr. Greer retired from his medical career in 1998 to focus entirely on his work with the Disclosure Project and other UFO-related initiatives. So, the evidence strongly supports that he was indeed a licensed and practicing emergency physician, including holding a leadership role in a hospital's emergency department. His title doctor is based on his medical degree and his career as a physician. To keep this short, let's move on to Dr. Steven Greer and the so-called bombshell that he's been hiding his secret life in Israel. I found the online newspaper clipping of his marriage within a couple of minutes, so it wasn't very well hidden. However, I admit I was not aware of his association with the Baha'i Faith. That's because I hadn't read any of his books. I'd only seen him in interviews. However, if I had been interested in doing a deep dive on the subject, I would have quickly recognized that this is not a guarded secret. In the year 2006, he published a book, Hidden Truths, Forbidden Knowledge, which recounts a great deal about his own personal life story. He had a very difficult and troubled life at home as a child, had an extraordinary near-death experience, and developed an unusually rapid mastery of achieving higher states of consciousness via meditation. There's an entire chapter about going on pilgrimage to Haifa for 10 days and ending up living there and working at the Baha'i World Center for 3 years. The chapter is entitled A Marriage Made in Heaven. I found his book fascinating, and his insights into meditation and consciousness were very advanced for their time. There was no bombshell. Anyone interested in him could have found all this information and much more had been published nearly 20 years ago. This book is still available on Amazon if you're interested. It is true, he does not mention the Baha'i Faith to my knowledge in interviews and talks. He clearly believes in God and spirituality. But as you will learn in the following clip, he eschews organized religion. So I have not been able to find a source to explain Dr. Greer's silence about the Baha'i Faith, although a few obvious possibilities come to mind. He is perhaps the most prominent person in the field of extraterrestrial beings, their intentions, spacecraft, and contact. This subject is fascinating for some, absurd for others, and very polarizing. And he often finds himself at odds with governments, academics, big business, and the establishment in general. His views are controversial, and his style is confrontational. While the Baha'i teachings do champion the unfettered, independent investigation of truth, the harmony of religion and science, and even acknowledge that we are not alone in the universe. Nonetheless, the Baha'is' overriding call is for unity and consultation and problem solving. One can easily imagine Dr. Greer must have realized that his activities are incompatible with being an active Baha'i, or that he may have attempted to have his views embraced and was not successful. And he might have become frustrated by the reaction of Baha'i administration. I don't know. That's merely speculation. I'd be very interested to hear what he had to say about it.
I would say in my studies of the universe, I value evidence, and I don't see evidence for any kind of active intelligence or power over anything.
You know, when you look at any sort of phenomenon, yes, a phenomenon happened, but randomly other phenomenons will happen as well. So based on all, you know, your learning throughout, you know, your time here on Earth, do you believe in God, and are you religious at all?
Oh yeah, I believe in God, and I believe in these other dimensions and an afterlife, because when I was 17, I died. I had an extraordinary near-death experience. But as far as organized religion, there's the good and the bad in all of them, and I tend to be aware that demagogues have ruined almost all spiritual traditions, and I can't think of one that hasn't been corrupted by men, okay? But yes, I do believe there is the word God is, you know, sort of misused. I'm referring to sort of an unbounded, conscious, intelligent, supreme being, right? I'm not talking about somebody's statue or idolatry. So yes, I'm quite sure that exists. And in my own life, I've seen great evidence of it. And frankly, you know, before I was a doctor, everybody laughs because I'm dating myself here. I was a meditation teacher, and I was with the Maharishi and went all over in the early 70s setting up meditation centers. And the reason I did was after my near-death experience, which I did have an experience of that sort of universal aspect of our own consciousness. I discovered that the nature of conscious awareness itself, at its deepest level, is that great being. It was an amazing experience. So I think people are always looking outside when they should discover it inside.
This week's long-awaited American alchemist is Dr. Steven Greer. Love him or hate him, this medical doctor turned UFO truth seeker has played a big part in modern disclosure that can't be ignored. If you are trying to get closer to the truth, you just can't really throw out his foundational research, the Disclosure Project archive, and his whistleblower testimonies. He's gathered more firsthand UFO witnesses than anyone on the planet, and humanity owes him a debt for that. In my opinion, speaking to Dr. Greer is like panning for gold. If you get past some of his antics, there's a ton of value there. I've been told by people not to do this interview because of those antics. I don't really care for being told who I should and shouldn't speak with. Talking to someone on a podcast is not in any way an endorsement of all of their beliefs, so I decided to sit down with him. The one caveat I will include here is Dr. Greer goes after just about everybody in UFO world and hurls out a ton of ad hominems. If I had tried to perfectly referee all of his accusations, this would have turned into an unintelligible and endless argument about who the bad faith actors are in UFO world. Although I generally agree with him, there are probably many. So instead, I tried to show appreciation for his incontrovertible contributions to UFO disclosure and to learn what I could from him. So without further ado or disclaimers, please enjoy this special long-form episode with this week's American alchemist, Dr. Steven Greer. I'm here with Dr. Steven Greer. I'm so excited to do this. This has been a long time coming for me because I've explored a lot in UFO world.
Sure.
And you are really responsible for a lot of disclosure. I mean, most of the whistleblowers who've come out have had a touch point with you before they've gone public.
Right.
And so Disclosure Project is your kind of organization. You have an archive with terabytes of data, documents that go incredibly deep on the cover-up. You've also made a couple of great movies, Unacknowledged, The Lost Century, about suppressed science.
And the new one that just came out, The Battle for Disclosure.
And The Battle for Disclosure. Yeah. And then you've given me this incredible, this briefing.
For the president. We cleaned it up.
Okay.
And redacted things.
Okay.
And then made it available to the public so everyone can get it now. So you'll have 90+% of what the new president has.
That's pretty awesome. The Disclosure Project Briefing Document 2025. So have you spoken to Trump or his team or?
I can't talk about the names, but very senior people relevant to this issue and national security, yes. So as soon as the election happened, even before. So some of his closest advisors and major funders have been on my team and are supportive of this. And some of them that are new to that world, and just to be clear to everyone, I'm nonpartisan. So I've dealt with all the way back to Clinton and the Obama and John Podesta, all the way forward to now. So my institute and the Disclosure Project is completely a nonpartisan, has to be. And not only nonpartisan, it's global, because I do the same thing for Europe, Australia, Great Britain. I was just in Great Britain in September. So we're assiduously, carefully nonpartisan. With that said, this administration, I think the first administration since Bill Clinton tried to fix this problem in his first term is most open to perhaps pursuing it. We'll see.
That would be very exciting. Well, this brings up this kind of perennial question because I think a lot of people associate this topic with the quote-unquote deep state. Sure. And they also associate Bill Clinton with the quote-unquote deep state. And so how deep is the deep state that deals with this topic? If you have Bill Clinton kind of knocking on the door of the program and not getting let in, what are we talking about as far as a power structure here?
Well, it's exactly what